Hi, everyone, and hi, Astrid. Hello, welcome, everybody. This is Astrid Schandy. I am so excited and so happy that you agreed to do this interview with me. You were telling me this is your first interview.
Ever.
And
I have done some written stuff for some publications where I get the questions and I write the answers and I send them in. But never have I been on a screen. I think this is the first time anybody sees me.
Oh my goodness. Well, the screen loves you. You look beautiful.
Thank you. Are we done? That was enough.
Let's just stop there. End with a
let's stop on a high. Let's call it a day.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. So now, are you in Norway?
Yes.
Norway. Okay. I do have a couple of viewers that watch my channel that are in Norway.
Cool.
And so would you want to say hi to them in your native language?
Hi. That's exactly the same.
That's perfect. Well, that works.
Well, you learn something new every day.
That's wonderful.
No.
Yeah,
you will probably say hey instead of hi.
Okay. What I would like to know is if you started crochet, like regular crocheting first, and then started interlocking crocheting, or?
Yes, I did. I did that. Yes, I started crochet maybe 2016, 17 or something. Mm-hmm. I first picked a hook and I loved it. Wow. I love the doing something with my hands and not paying attention to the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really like what I made because I mean, this is not going to sound so good, but I didn't like the stitches. Mm-hmm. I love color. And every time I wanted to use different colors, the edges were not sharp. Mm-hmm. I am like picky on the extremely exaggerated side. And if something is a little bit jagged, that's not good enough for me. So I kind of did this enormous amount of blankets until my kids were sleeping under 7 kilos of yarn every night. And they said, that's enough, Mom. We don't need any more blankets. And around 2018, I discovered interlocking crochet. Mm-hmm. And I never, ever did another stitch in my life. I've only done interlocking crochet ever since. Yeah.
It is beautiful. And now, I am amazed. And this is the reason, one of the main reasons why I asked you to come on here was there are a lot of crocheters that don't know about interlocking crochet. And it's, there are several techniques that people don't know about, but interlocking crochet seems to be the least heard of. Yes. And I just want to show you what I made from one of your patterns. I got it yesterday.
Leaves. Jesus, what yarn did you use? That was a pot holder. It looks like a towel.
Well, I saw that you used a 2-weight, and I was like, well, it's been about a year since I've done interlocking crochet. And so I'm going to go with a little bigger hook and a little bigger yarn just so I could,
I do say in the pattern there's no gauge required, but maybe I should revisit that.
I know. Well, I figured this could be a nice pillow or something.
Yeah.
Or wall hanging.
Or get the whole casserole with it.
Exactly. This could just be, I could lay it on the table and put something on it. But I used a 4-weight yarn. It's a cotton and linen mix. But I just wanted to show everybody how beautiful interlocking crochet is.
It is.
And you have so many beautiful patterns. I was going to try the YouTube tutorial that you have. Yeah. But I was like, no, I want to make fall leaves because it's fall.
Yeah. Well, you can make the YouTube tutorial in a couple of months because it's a Christmas tangle tutorial.
Right. That's exactly it. And I do love how your tutorial kind of helps to explain and visualize.
Isn't that the point of a tutorial?
Exactly. Yours are great, and I love the way your patterns are very, very structured
Yeah.
and visual while being very simple to read. I
Well,
behind
that's intention. I have it embedded in me, but I used a lot of time in my very first pattern and the first, let's say,
Mhm,
5, where I was still making some changes. I am very picky about. I mean, if you ask my kids, I over explain. You know, if they ask a question, I grab a piece of pen and a paper, and then I talk for half an hour. You know, they have to be selective about what they ask. But I kind of over explain, and I try to do it simply so that it's visually and people. My favorite is when I get a feedback that somebody had no clue, didn't get it, and suddenly there was like an aha moment. Suddenly they
mhm.
got it because they saw my tutorial or they read my pattern or something. So that's really rewarding.
Yeah, I can only imagine, and because I know a couple of times whenever I was working on this, and then I checked back on your tutorial, even though it's not the same pattern, you can, you know,
Well, I made that tutorial, like, even though I follow a pattern,
right,
I make it
right.
for all of them. What do you do when you encounter a new color? What do you do when you change from back to front? How do you do the solids? So you learn whether you're going to make a small pothole or potholder or a gigantic blanket.
Yeah.
It's the same tutorial.
Yeah, and that's where I got my aha moments was when I was watching and doing it and just click.
Yeah. Nice.
So, when what was your very first interlocking crochet design that you actually designed out, wrote a pattern for?
I told you it's in 2018 I started with interlocking. I joined a cow
Mhm,
in a Facebook group. Her group's name is Ilona Slow Life Creations. Her name is Hilda Ilona Stein, and she's a guru of interlocking. She made this cow, and I followed it. It was small pieces. You made one a week, and eventually we sewed them together into a blanket, and I loved it. I loved it. It was so square. The lines were so straight. I love square things, and what happened is she released, I don't know, let's say on Mondays. And by Monday night, I was done. And I was hysterical wanting to get the next block patch.
mhm.
So by the second or third week, I started a second blanket, which I had drawn myself, right? Based on, and I had made a drawing of an artist from South America, mid-century modern, very much squares. It's my very first published blanket. It's called the TG blanket. TG stands for Torres Garcia, who is the artist. So I started making it at the same time. So on Mondays, I did her square, and from Thursday to Sunday, I made mine. And I was finished almost at the same time as hers. And I asked to show my progress in her group, and she loved it. And I showed it in my group, and you know how it gets, all these beautiful comments, and you get all
Mhm.
pumped up. And but I had not written it. I had just done it from a drawing on a square paper and a pen and markers. And when she was done with that, she asked me, "Would you jump in and write this pattern so we make it in a cal in this group?" And I was like, "Oh wow!" So I wrote it, and we made it into a cal. And and I was getting all these comments. You should publish it. I don't know how to publish it. Who's going to want to do this? You know, I don't know who crochets. I was so ignorant about everything. And then COVID hit. And it was the second week of March here in Norway, and we were all locked in our houses, right? I was going crazy. I made the stupid idea of giving one of my kids a harmonica on day 1 of COVID lockdown. And if I ever hear the intro of Piano Man again, you know, I will throw myself from a precipice, and I have to have to do something for my sanity, you know. And I sat in front of the computer and I got into Ravelry and started figuring out. I was slow. I had to do other stuff. I wrote it. I made PDFs. I got pictures, and I published my first one at the end of March. And the rest is history. And then I love drawing. That's my favorite part of the whole. Well, all my parts are favorite, but I love just drawing and coming up with drawings. And then I write them, and then I make them, and then I publish them. So that's the short version.
So it's not really work. It's just
no.
labor of love.
I love it. For example, every Saturday and Sunday morning, I work Monday to Friday. Every Saturday and Sunday, I get up, I make coffee, and I sit down to write whichever pattern I'm writing. It's here on the desk. It's my favorite pastime. It's quiet. I'm writing, so if my kids see me, they don't interrupt because mom is writing.
Right. Don't bug mom.
No, of course. And I just love it. So I write endlessly. Here's one of them. I write endlessly. Wow. Pages and pages of patterns. It's like making a jigsaw puzzle. It's an entertainment. Some people make crossword or Sudoku or Candy Crush. I write patterns.
Sure. And see, I don't write patterns, but I love to figure them out and make them. That's why when I first found interlocking crochet, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is incredible.
Yeah, it's nice. It's structured. Structured is a good word.
Yeah, I would definitely use that word.
And it's a simple technique. I mean, people get amazed when I say all you do is DC and chain one. DC, chain one, DC, chain one, the whole blanket. So it's very simple.
And it's very similar, I mean, but obviously different than mosaic crochet.
It's very different.
But yeah,
I don't understand. Could you explain to me why you say it's similar? Because
it's similar in that you expect it. When you look at mosaic or when you look at interlocking, it looks like it's very complicated. Like, oh my goodness, I don't think I could make that. Right? That's what I was thinking. And then when you start doing it, it's like with mosaic, it's single crochet, double crochet, single, with various things that you do in there. And with interlocking, it's the double crochet and the chain. You don't need to know
they're not similar. On mosaic, you work only on one side. You cut your yarn.
Right.
I get the hives if I need to cut the yarn at the end of each row. I can't.
Oh yeah. Now not similar in the way that you do it, but similar in that it looks very complicated.
Okay.
But
then interlocking crochet is like a lemon pie. It looks very complicated until you make it, and it's not that complicated.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, but based on your comparison, I'm just using another one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. But yeah, it's very, very beautiful. And you have so many very complicated looking ones that are, like I love, what's the one where it has the face on it? Which one's that?
The diva? The one with the face and the hat and all the flowers and the birds and a bridge and
Yeah.
The diva.
Yeah, that looks so complicated too. But how long, like just using that one for an example, how long does it take you from beginning to end, like from the very first idea you have until you press publish?
Okay, let's start. It's not a standard, but making that blanket took me probably 3 weeks of crocheting in the evenings and the weekends. I work 9 to 5 and I have 3 children, so occasionally I have other stuff to do. I can't crochet all day. But it's never the same how long it takes me before that. Writing a pattern takes about anything from 30 to 40 hours work. So split, of course, split through many days. But drawing, that one I drew really quick. That one I drew on a paper in half an hour, and I went online and I did it on a graph in about 3 hours. That's probably one of my quickest ever, because when I draw, I keep stuff on paper. I have stuff on constantly on paper, drawings and scribbles, and then I go back and I scribble some more. So the concept can take from some hours to weeks, because it's until I like it. So, but once I have the drawing and I make it on a chart, it takes about 30 hours to write it and about 120 to make it.
Wow. That's for as beautiful as it is, it doesn't, like, it seems like it should take so much longer than that. But how
Well, there are two types. I make 3 types of blankets, right? For you, it looks complicated, but Diva is one of the simplest blankets I have made. Because I make either 2 colors, and if I make 2 colors, I make sure that there is a very intricate pattern so that you don't have huge areas of just one color. I call that a lazy pattern. Every square inch has to have some drawing, some lines, some pattern, some grid. And those are actually the middle, the medium difficulty. Then you have colors. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think I was the first one that made color changes in interlocking, right? Before they were all in 2 colors.
yours are the only ones that I've looked at so far that have color changes. I mean, all of the other ones.
There's a few more that are using color changes, and the ones I'm thinking about were actually clients of mine that started designing on their own, and they did really well, and that now they have their own groups and they design, so that's beautiful. But then you have the colored ones. The colored ones, like the Diva, is just like, imagine a drawing to just color each place with a different color. Those are simple, right? It's just changing the color on the back and using the new color. And then you have the most complicated ones, which are not only in many colors, but they also have a lot of drawing inside each piece, right? Then it's a lot of counting. Yeah, I can't think of one right now, but yes, you can look at my shop and see different types. 2 colors, 3 colors, 2 colors, many colors, some simple, some complicated.
I will. And during the interview, whenever you mention any particular pattern, I'll go back through in the editing and put a picture of it on on the video so everybody can see it, because I know that when everybody who watches this sees your patterns, they're going to be like, I need to go make that because it's so beautiful.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, for simple, for 2 colored, you can put for example, the Flower Power is a typical 2 colored one. 3 colors without complication is the Diva or the Cats. And 3 colors with drawings, for example, the Flock of Birds. There you have some examples.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I'll put all those pictures up here. And what would you consider this one, your Fall Leaves? This is
very simple.
Very simple, yeah. How many patterns have you published since you first started?
79.
My goodness. That's a lot.
The last one was Diva. Diva is number 79. I keep them on a card here.
Oh, very nice.
79.
And are all of your patterns in Ravelry?
Yes, I only use Ravelry.
Only use Ravelry.
I never tried Etsy, and what I hear from other people that use Etsy gives me the creeps. Like, people have stress because I may be making something up. I don't follow this very closely, but either they lost the star or they got a bad review, so Etsy drops them to the bottom of the line. And they have to get in contact with customers, but they can't email them because they get complaints of spam and no, Ravelry.
Yeah, I've heard it's just like a big tangled mess that I've
Yes.
heard from Etsy, so I've steered clear too.
Yeah. No, Ravelry is the only place I sell.
Okay, so good. So everybody can go over there and check out all of your patterns, but you also show a lot on Instagram of,
Yes. Every time
of
I publish something, I publish it on Instagram also to show there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I first saw
Yeah.
your interlocking crochet, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." My next one I'm going to make is the fish. I love the fish.
Which one? Because I have made lots of fishes.
Oh, the one that's the very colorful, they look like kind of like
Oh,
just
the
very
school of fish.
yeah,
Lots of fish in all colors.
yes, that
Yeah,
one.
I'll tell you a secret since you're going to make it. I may be digressing here. You may want to edit this out one day. But you know how we're getting more and more to a society where we can't really talk about anything because everything is politically incorrect. And what you could talk about last week, you can't talk about this week anymore because somebody discovered that there is a connotation that may hurt somebody.
Mm-hmm.
My fish is my view of humanity. And School of Fish is exactly that. I made it in right before June, and it was Pride Month. And I don't belong to the LGBTQ community, but I respect it. And there is so much, that you can say and you can't say, and the right pronoun and the bad pronoun, whatever. And I thought about making fish instead of people. And some are fat, some are thin, some are pink, some are blue, some are striped, some have big tails, some don't have tails, and everybody loves it. So to me, it's like my vision of humanity, and everybody loves those fish. If I had made people, if I had made drawings of
Mm-hmm.
people of different races, of different sizes, maybe shown somehow their sexual orientation, maybe I would have gotten a lot of criticism. Right, for
Sure.
drawing what I know nothing about or should not be drawing, or so I made it in fish.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a book. Have you ever heard of the children's book, The Rainbow Fish?
No.
It reminds me of that in that it's a fish and he's got all of these beautiful sparkly scales and he's swimming through the water being pretty and wondering why nobody, comes up to him or they don't know if they like him because they just don't know him. But then he starts handing out his scales to everybody because nobody else had these beautiful scales. And all of a sudden, he sees others just swimming through the water with 2 or 3 of his little scales tucked in their scales.
Yeah.
And I just always thought that that was such a beautiful story for sharing because at the end, he only had 2 or 3 scales left.
Yeah.
But when you look out into the community of all of
And
these other fish,
everybody had some of his.
yeah,
That's nice.
yes. Yeah, so I love that. I love using the fish. Anytime I hear something about fish, it always touches me because of that story.
Fishes and houses repeat themselves over and over and over. Fishes is my way of drawing people.
Mm-hmm.
And houses, I just love them because they're square and straight lines. So
yeah,
so
love that.
So I draw a lot of houses and fish. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, now we know.
Now you know.
Now we know. Thank you for sharing that.
First interview and first time I say what my fish represent.
I love that.
Yeah. You're getting all those firsts.
All the good stuff. Well, if you share too much, just let me know and I'll save it.
You can be the judge of that. Ooh, I'll be editing this out. You can make those decisions yourself.
Okay, thank you. You said you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Are they young, old? everywhere in between, or
Oh, they're a lot younger than me, mathematically.
oh,
So,
that's
no,
good.
in my head, they are big.
Mhm,
I don't know if other people's, but my youngest is 17.
mhm.
He's a boy. Then I have two girls, 19 and 22.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they are. I consider them young. Well, my youngest is 17,
Yeah.
and then my oldest is 33. So I had a few more olders.
You started before me. That's what it's
Yeah,
for.
I started before.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
they're big in age. They're quite independent in many areas, but for
Mhm.
me, they will always be my small kids. I'm sorry when they hear this, but for me, that they're big, it doesn't matter. They're, you know, they're
They'll
always going to
always,
be my small kids.
always babies. That's what I tell mine. You'll
Not
always be.
babies because they are big, intelligent, independent. They're wise, they're beautiful, but they will be small for me.
Absolutely. You say you're fascinated by like algorithms and geometry and things like that. And is that what first drew you to the interlocking crochet?
No, I can't say that. I think what drew me to interlocking is just being drawn to crochet because I enjoy doing crochet with my hands, and then I didn't like what I did. There's a fly bugging me, and then I found interlocking. But once I found interlocking, and everything, the squares can be so square. Keep
Yeah.
repeating. Then the possibilities with mathematics and geometry opened up, and I use them a lot. I don't say in my patterns that I use them a lot. For example, I made one pattern, the Moor gecko.
Mhm.
The Moor gecko is based on a Moor fractal and on the hill and a Hilbert curve, right? That, for example, I could tell you has a Hausdorff dimension of 2, but but I can't say that because people will not understand what I'm talking about, most of them. So a lot of people call it the little maze. You will see it.
Mhm.
It's like a line. It's but so I just say yes, the gecko with the maze. But the whole background of the gecko has an explanation in mathematics. So, but I don't say that because mathematics and crochet is not like if you draw a Venn diagram, the commonality between mathematics and crochet is not huge. It's not obvious. So I do it for
Sure.
myself. There is one person that purchases my patterns. I'm not going to say her name, but if she listens, she knows who it is. That her username in Ravelry already has a mathematical connotation,
Mhm.
and she discovers everything. She sends me a message, and she says, "Oh, is this what you meant here? Or is this like are you using Fibonacci sequence in this one, or are you?" I'm like, "Yay! Somebody gets it." So
That is
you might,
exciting. That
yeah,
that's going to touch a special place, like right here when you find out, oh my gosh, we are maybe traveling on the same wavelength.
yeah, exactly. So then I get happy, and that's why I remember her. She
Sure.
gets in touch once in a while and talks about my patterns, and she writes projects about my patterns, and she finds the mathematical items in each, and that's really cool for me that somebody
Yeah,
gets me. Yeah.
that is. That's exciting. And I think that's like one of the best things about the crochet community is that we get to reach out, and since I feel like since we're giving away a part of ourselves by showing what we're making or
Mhm.
showing designs, that we get to make those connections with people that we would have never gotten to make
Yes.
if
Yeah.
we hadn't put, like with me, it's videos and showing what I crochet and going yarn shopping and all that kind of stuff. But yarn shopping for sure. But yeah, it's just I don't see like how in the world it would have been possible to meet all of these wonderful people who
Yeah,
have the same kind of interest and love for crochet,
that's
because
true.
I have found that crocheters for the most part like to you know, stay home, crochet, kind of we're a keep to ourselves bunch.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely true. Yeah.
yeah.
And and sometimes you get very lucky because you connect with somebody not only that loves crochet the way you love it, but also has a lot of other points in common. And then you find somebody that has only not only the crochet commonality, but you find out, for example, in my case, the maths or the geometry. So there is this person that I can't really remember how we started chatting, but I chat with her almost daily or every second day. Never met her.
Hmm.
I have a fantasy one day that I will travel and meet her and we
Sure.
will crochet on under her tree or we're on the wall where she puts all her items for taking pictures and stuff. And that's one of the gifts you get by this, right? I would have never, I don't think I would have ever met her. It's impossible that I would have met her online otherwise. And we speak the same language. Like
Oh, that's
we're
wonderful.
both as ironic or sarcastic. We like the same things in the crochet environment. We dislike the same things in the crochet environment. And we both like maths and geometry. And she knows and does a lot more than me. But it's great. It's great. And I think we made a great friendship from that. Otherwise, we would have never met.
Yeah,
And then one day I'll meet her personally. That's my goal in life.
that's right. And you'll have a lot of fun crocheting together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a couple of friends like that too. And I couldn't imagine like actually living life never having met these people, you know.
Yes. Yeah. True.
I read that you mentioned feeling like a bird has flown the nest when you publish a pattern. And
Yes, because I draw them and I get so detailed about them and love them so much, and then I write them, and then I write them on a digital file, and then I make the digital graph, and then I make the product, and I take all the pictures. It's like not a child, but it's like this thing that I just don't know if I want to let go. Only that I figured out that I publish it and I still keep the blanket, so it's kind of okay. But then the feeling that comes when somebody not only gives you beautiful comments that they love it, but they purchase the pattern. And I have a Facebook
Mhm,
group, and then they start posting pictures of their progress. It's so humbling in a way,
mhm,
that somebody on the other side of the world picked your pattern up and is making it. And some make variations that are beautiful or
mhm.
surprise me with a total new set of colors. And I'm like, oh, darn, I should have chosen those colors. They're a lot better than mine. Or they make beautiful
Sure.
things. There's a lady that buys my patterns and she makes them in cross stitch. And
Wow.
sometimes she makes them in the flock of birds. She made it in cross stitch in a band and she made a little basket to have yarn in it. It's
Oh.
like, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I see
Mhm,
those things, or the way people make a photo of their blanket, right?
mhm,
I'm really detailed about my photos, what's in the background, what colors are in the photos, such. And these, some people make a beautiful background or hang a blanket out of a beautiful window in the
mhm.
sun and make these really nice pictures. It makes me so happy. Really. It's really
It's like
nice.
it's like the rainbow fish.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I love that. So it's okay if the bird flies out of the nest, it'll
Yes.
be back. Do
Yeah.
you have a favorite pattern that you've designed?
All my patterns are favorites.
Sure.
The one I was most proud of when I made the drawing, was the flock of birds, because the flock of birds is a tessellation.
Mm-hmm.
A tessellation, do you know what it is? Imagine a jigsaw puzzle where all the pieces are exactly the same. Not very similar, but exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
And when you fill a surface with exactly the same shape, right, that is called a tessellation. And it is quite difficult to do unless you make squares or triangles or rectangles. And I managed to make these birds that are all exactly the same shape, but there's no background, right? They're all like jigsaw puzzle. So that one I was really proud of making. It took forever, and drawing with what's this called, a compass and a semicircle to get the right angles and stuff, until I got it. And then I went through the whole process of making it into a blanket. But that one I was really proud of. Then sometimes I reverse engineer, I call it. The poppy fields and the diva, they are made based on a color pack that comes with 109 10-gram balls, right?
Goodness.
That is a color pack from Schepies, Cartona. And so then what you have to do is make a drawing where each color will not exceed 247 stitches, right? So that takes a lot of whiteout and counting, and then I make the blanket based on a color pack. So those are kind of cool achievements.
Oh
When you
yeah.
make them. But I like all of them because I drew them. They're all my drawings. So I like all of them. Some are the bookworm, for example. One of my latest is a girl reading a book, and it says under whatever, between the pages of a book is a lovely place to be. That was a drawing by one of my kids.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's special.
Yeah. So
That's
cool.
amazing that you can take a picture that one of your kids drew and make a whole project out of it.
Yeah.
I like that.
I get whatever. I make projects out of whatever.
Yeah. That's part of being an artist. Like, do you have a history in art before you started with crochet?
Not formally, but I guess my father was extremely artistic. He could draw like Da Vinci, amazing. And we didn't have a television growing up, but we had all the colored pencils and papers and scissors and glue you wanted. And I've always drawn, and I tried a lot of stuff. I tried quilting, I tried knitting. Sometimes I don't know if it's a new hobby or just an excuse to buying stuff, right? Because if you want to quilt, then you have to get all these things.
Right.
And if you want to knit, you have. Anyways, but I've always done things. And in my house now, because I wasn't allowed to when I was a kid, I draw on my walls and I paint on my walls.
Oh.
It's
wow.
You should try it. Get a pencil, go to a white wall and draw. It's one of the most, and it's editable because next week you can get paint and just paint over it, right?
Start all over again.
Yeah. So I draw on my walls.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Have you ever made one of your crochet designs out of something that you've drawn on your wall?
Yes. The big fish. I'll send you a picture. The big fish
wonderful.
is a fish that I drew on my wall. I was staring at my wall thinking, what should I make next? And I made the big fish blanket.
Oh,
I'll
wonderful.
send you a picture. It's on my wall.
Well, thank you. I'll post a picture of on the video of both of them side by side.
Okay.
That's really neat. I could just see, an hour before my husband comes home from work, I'll start drawing on the wall. Or my kids, and they'll be like, "What? Have you lost your mind?"
But what's wrong with that?
I see nothing wrong with it.
There's
And
nothing
I'm
wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Push comes to shove, you paint over it, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm
Well, you've
looking
now
behind my screen is a whole wall drawn with pencil. It's yeah.
well, you have now given me permission to do that. So I am going to do it.
When your husband or your kid says, "What are you doing?" Astrid said I could do it.
Astrid said I could do it.
Yeah. And then they will go, okay, I see. Yeah.
I'll send you a picture. I'll send you a picture of mine too. This is something that I wanted to ask you for sure. So it's kind of going into the history of interlocking crochet. And like before you, I had never really heard of interlocking crochet or and so I didn't even know that it had been around. Do you know how long it's been in existence? And if
I know
so,
a little bit, but I am not extremely versed here, so don't quote me, but I will tell you what I think. It has been around, it has been traced back at least 100 years.
mhm.
The technique. The word interlocking crochet, however, was copyrighted until March 2020.
Really?
Mm. There is a
Wow.
lady called Tanis Galik
Mhm.
that used this technique, and I believe she called it interlocking crochet, and she copyrighted the name, right? So nobody else could use the name. So when I joined, and when I say I joined an interlocking crochet call, everybody had to give it a different name.
Mhm.
And when I joined the call, the technique was wacky weave,
Mhm.
right? So then, copyright laws, they last for a few years, and then if you don't renew them, you lose the copyright. And then in March 2020, this lady apparently did not renew her rights or whatever, and it became public language. So then I picked it up.
That's a really
Uh,
good story.
some people call it double filet.
Mhm. I've heard that.
Others, I can't remember the other names, but yeah, but I came in to the business 2 weeks after the copyright had finished, so I used interlocking
Wow.
crochet from the beginning.
That's all relatively, I mean, that's just within the past few years all of this
Yes,
happened. So
this lady Tanis Galik, she is very popular. She has books about this. You see her videos in YouTube. She has done quite a lot.
now if you were to recommend anybody to like start with very beginning interlocking crochet, would she be one of the people that you would recommend, or do you have others that you know that can, like, for the very beginner who may be having some difficulty just diving into a pattern?
Yes, the only thing I have to say about her is that I don't really fancy the way she starts a project.
Hmm.
I started differently, but she has really nice, uh, I don't want to say simple in a derogative way, but
Sure.
patterns that are not really complex, patterns
Hmm.
that repeat themselves, dots or squares or
Hmm.
so those are very simple. But if somebody wants to start, I would say any pattern that is only in two colors.
Okay,
That
so
is the way. I started doing the pot holders because people wanted something really small to try
yeah,
the technique out.
like this, I would recommend this for somebody that's
Yeah,
starting out,
you're
because
good.
I thought it was very, very, the way that you laid out the pattern and had, I love, without a doubt, because I need structure. I'm not very good at structuring, but I need structure. So you providing the, um, I guess it's like a table
Yeah.
of, it starts
With
out
the gray
one.
road, the white road.
Yes, that
Yeah,
was laid out very, very, very simply. For all
yeah,
the complication that seems to be inside of it, it made it very simple.
yeah, yeah. Yes, my two colored pot holders are a place where everybody starts. And then I have one pot holder, which is called the colorful pot holders, which
Mhm,
is very simple squares. It looks like a Mondrian in a way, but I used other
mhm.
colors and just to learn to change colors. Yeah. And then just dive for the big blanket.
It just just go into a big one, and that's what I wanna do your fish blanket first.
Yeah.
The
That's a
all the
nice one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I really like that.
Are you
And
right-handed?
I am right-handed, yes.
Because I have a version for left-handed because there is an area that says fish.
Mhm.
And if you're left-handed, you have HSIF.
Oh, yeah,
So
that
I have those rows written out for left-handed people.
oh,
So
that's
that they get,
good.
yeah, so
That's
that
good to know 'cause yeah, that's something that I just completely would not have thought about until if I was left-handed, then I would have gotten to that part.
yes, the left-handed people know that words and symbols can come up kind of funny. So
Sure.
yeah,
Sure, now are you right-handed or
I'm
left-handed?
right-handed. Yes.
Right-handed, okay.
Yeah.
So, what are some of your favorite, yarns and, like, hook sizes and things like that to use when
Three
you're making one of
millimeters.
what
3 millimeters.
3 millimeters
I
for
don't
your
know what letter that is. You guys use letters.
I think it's C. I have started using the millimeter size just
Yeah.
because it makes it I have found that a couple of the different manufacturers of crochet hooks will call
Yes, I've
like a
seen that.
a C, or some will call it a D, or
Yeah,
so that just gets confusing. I like to stick with the millimeter.
yeah. I use 3 millimeters. I use cotton
Mhm.
fingering for the most part. 99% of my blankets are made in Schepies Katona
Okay.
because I love their cotton and they have 113 colors, right? So if you want to do something with 10 shades of green, you have it.
Mhm.
Whereas a lot of other brands, you have a dark green, a medium green, and a light green. You don't have 17 greens. So that's why I
Right.
love them. Yeah.
Much bigger choice of colors. I have never gotten that yarn, but now I'm going to need to get it clearly.
And these are the ones that have the color pack with the
Mhm.
cutest. I have one here. Oh, sorry. Look at this. Look at the size of this. This
Oh.
is a 10-gram little ball,
Mhm.
right? So you get 109 of these. Oh, they're beautiful.
Oh, that's
I,
so
al-
much
I
fun.
always make the mistake. Next time I'm ordering two because you get one box and you kind of don't want to start it because it's
Mhm.
so pretty. So I'm going to get one extra one just to keep full of yarn. Just
Just
to,
to just to be able to look at.
yeah, and play with them. I thought of making a stop motion, right, of them coming
Oh,
and going.
cute.
Yeah. But and imagine getting 109 different colors of those. That's fun.
That sounds
You
like
probably have 109 colors behind you, so I don't know what I'm saying.
oh, I do, but I don't have the little same ones that are all like the same. So I need to go get and you know what? It's a good thing you told me about this, the 109 colors, because at my local yarn store, Sirdar also has some little small uh skeins that are like this, but they only come in packs of like 50 or something like
Oh no.
that. No, I need I
I
need
have
to
researched the whole world
mhm.
for yarn, I
I could
think. And the biggest amount of colors you find in Schepies Katona.
okay.
That's
I'm heading over there today. That that website, here I come.
yeah, yeah.
And how do you say there's a lot of people in the yarn community that can't or don't know how to say sheep G's. How
Now
do you say
you. You're one of them.
How do you say it?
Okay. This is Dutch, and I don't speak Dutch.
Okay.
But the way I understand it, you say like S, then a hard H. Scheepjes.
Scheepjes.
No, not sh. S, S, H, but not sh. An S alone and an H alone. Sche. Scheepjes. Yes.
Yes.
Scheepjes. And it has nothing to do with a sheep, even though you grew up in a sheep farm and you would love it to be about sheep. It's not. In Dutch, schip is a ship.
Oh.
And when you add, I am almost sure, when you add yes at the end of a word, is like saying a little one, right? So scheepjes is a little ship. And the logo, I don't think I will be able, the logo on the bands is a little boat, a little ship. So it's not the sheep, the sheepy yarn. But
so it sounds, yeah, that makes sense because that sounds more like ship when you say it than it does sheep. That Oh, I'm glad you told me about that. I really needed to know that.
Yeah. But there is a lot of confusion out there. I have heard it pronounced in I don't know how many different ways. And maybe the Dutch think I pronounce it funny as well. I don't know.
We do. We say it how we can say it. We do what we try our best.
Yeah.
So do you have any like go-to or favorite yarn or crochet books that you just like kind of keep on hand, or podcasts that you watch to kind of keep you going, or have you found what you need and now you're just going with it?
I wouldn't be so cocky as to say I found what I need, but I am very concerned about not copying something out there.
Sure.
So I don't look at books, or I mean, I have two eyes. I can't stop seeing what I see, but I don't go on purpose looking for crochet designs or patterns or ideas or something. And I don't have the time. I mean, I see my kids on the phone all day. I could not do that. I don't have the time to look and to,
because before you know it, an hour or two is gone that you could have spent actually being productive at something.
Yes.
So would you say yeah, which I need to spend far less time. I think sometimes I get lost in the, I got to make my picture look just like this or something for Instagram, or, make sure I do something and just rather just do it and post it and forget about it, but would you say you kind of...
Sorry to interrupt you, but you make me laugh now, because right before I was going to sit here and do this interview with you, I'm looking at my side of the screen and I look dead. I look like there is neon lights coming out of my face. And before sitting here, I was thinking, maybe I should wear something special. What does one do when one has an interview, Get a special lighting. Maybe I should put makeup on. So no, I got a clean pair of socks and I added some perfume to myself. But
perfect.
Well, I just thought, this is me, just let's get on with it, print it, publish it, whatever.
Exactly.
And don't worry, Nobody's going to be looking at the whole video commenting, oh my God, her face looks like neon color,
See, and I was thinking the other way. I was thinking you look absolutely beautiful and perfect, and for some reason, I am having these awful hot flashes that are making me turn bright red.
Well, but again, the hot flashes or my socks are not visible, or my perfume is not visible in this video, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and this is my very professional
Headphones.
YouTube headphones, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people need to take a lot less self-consciousness things and just focus on what's happening in the moment and right then and there, and the value in the real.
Absolutely. How many videos have you watched, or tutorials, or whatever you're interested in seeing, and instead of focusing in what you're listening or what you're researching, how many times do you stop and say, oh my God, this person's t-shirt is horrible, or you know, her ears are so big, oh, she could have had more makeup on, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, what about using a comb? You know, you never think those things, so nobody thinks them about you.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, for sure.
If not,
For sure.
this is as good as it gets.
My kids might, when I put a video out on TikTok, they're like, no, Mom. No. Take it down.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why I don't use TikTok or put myself anywhere out there.
It's a much younger crowd.
Agree.
Yeah. So I think we've talked about all of the information type kind of things. Unless there's anything else you'd like to add as far as learning or anything like that.
No, I don't really have anything to say. It's not an area where you come with a message, right?
Right.
I'm not that cocky. I'm more on the humble side. I sit here with my colored pencils and my abacus, and that's how I get things done. Do you know that I make my calculations on an abacus?
Do you really?
Yes.
Wow.
Maybe you should edit that out in 2023.
No, I want to learn how to use an abacus. I never learned how to use one.
You don't know?
I don't know how to use an abacus.
Oh, well, now you have something to do. After you're done painting the walls, make yourself a cup of something and learn how to use an abacus. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's plenty of YouTube videos about that will explain how to use one.
Yeah, maybe I'll make you a tutorial.
Oh, that would be exciting. I would love
No,
it.
I won't. No, I won't.
Okay.
No. But no,
Okay.
I don't have any main message. Or maybe I do, because I have an opinion about everything. I live by the motto, be truthful, not neutral. So usually I end up having an opinion on anything. There is two types of people that make crochet patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Part of them are designers. The other part are just software able people.
Mm-hmm.
Because when somebody gets an image that already exists on Instagram, on internet,
Mm-hmm.
makes a cut and paste into a software program that will spit out a chart and write the pattern for you, I don't think that's designing. So if you want to be a good designer, be yourself. Don't, download images from internet. Don't copy what everybody else is doing. Do whatever you want to do. Use the colors you want to use. Be unique. That's the only message, if somebody wants to hear. But
I love that. I know that
that's my opinion. Yeah.
There are people out there that really need to hear that too, I think. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I find it insulting, even though I don't purchase blankets, patterns to make. I purchase very few. I not crochet, but I purchase sock patterns and other kinds. But when somebody makes one of these software downloads and then on top of that they put the digital drawing on Ravelry instead of the finished blanket. So they haven't even made the blanket. Like that, one can produce 4 blankets a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you make it properly, it takes more like months. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
like
my message.
when I see your pattern, there's no doubt that you spent some time and work and inspiration. And I think the product that comes out is so much better, you know.
Well, you get a unique drawing,
Yeah.
right? That's what you get with my patterns.
Here's a couple of questions that are kind of just for fun.
Okay.
Just to kind of end everything. What is the best crochet related gift you've ever gotten? Have you've ever received?
The online friends I made because of crochet. I think that's the best because, yeah, that's the best gift.
I completely agree. Ooh, are you working on any exciting patterns or projects for the future?
Of course.
Without a doubt.
I am making one. The next one is finished, written, and the yarn has just arrived. I am writing the one that comes after, and I have 3 more drawings done to
Oh,
start
wow.
writing. Yeah, I have about 6 months work already in the pipeline, but I'm always working on something exciting, but I never tell. I never tell. I don't show preview. I don't even show you which colors I'm working on until I publish.
Keep it a surprise. Well, and that way we're always looking for it.
Yeah, and also because I'm picky about photos. So when I'm done with the blanket, okay, the real story is then I clean at least a section of my house because everything is full of fuzz. Don't you have a lot of fuzz on every single surface?
Everything. It even gets in my neck fan here.
Yeah. On your headphones, in your headphones.
In my headphones, yeah.
So I prepare. I look at the weather forecast. I wait until it's going to be nice and sunny, which in the North Pole where I live, it's not every day. And then I clean a section of the house. I vacuum, and then I know I'm going to exhibit there, and I get some props I have around the house of the same color or whatever. So I don't just take a photo and publish it. My published photos are, I study them, I clear the background. So I never show. Unless to this friend friend I told you I chat about. Every time I finish a drawing, I show it to her. That's the place.
You got to have somebody to share it with to
absolutely.
Share the excitement. Lastly, just for fun, if you were a yarn color, what would you be and why?
Do you ask this to everybody, or did you just make it up?
I ask similar.
Flower pot color. Flower pot color, like terracotta, rust.
Oh, like a little.
No, more reddish. More like this. More orange than this.
Sure.
Because
like up here. Like there's
something like that. Because it's a color that doesn't say much on its own, right? And kind of can hide on the side, but it's a really cool color, and it's warm.
And it holds plants and pretty flowers and.
Well, not for me. They hold them for about a week until they die. But I understand what you say. But I understand the point of a flower pot. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, I didn't have another question, but I was going to. You said something about the North Pole. Do you live close to the North Pole?
In theory, I live in Oslo, the capital, which is about. I'm gonna have to Google this now. I think it's about, 65 north or something? 59. 59.9 degrees north, 60 degrees north.
Okay, so does it
stay? I call it the North Pole because I don't know anybody that lives further north than me.
that's
that's north enough. That's north enough. Everything, the whole world is south. So
That's like my dream. I would love to live north. Does it stay cool like most
sorry.
of the year?
Cool.
Does it stay really cold most of the year?
It stays cool. I mean, it can get to -25. That's pretty cool.
Oh my.
And
And is
yeah,
that Celsius or Fahrenheit?
that's Celsius.
Oh,
Yeah.
how warm does it get?
In summer, this year it was crappy. All the heat in the rest of Europe, and for some reason it rained nonstop here. But in summer it can get to 25 degrees.
That's
Again,
is that
Celsius.
that's about somewhere around
Yes.
70
Yes.
Fahrenheit? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
that
is
sounds,
nice and warm for us.
yeah.
Yeah.
We had a week of about 110 degrees Fahrenheit here this summer, and it was just awful.
Yeah. No. No. But what nobody thinks about until you're here is the light. The temperature is not a problem because if we have the right clothing, you're covered.
Sure.
But the light, in winter, the sun can come out at 10 in the morning and go set at 2 in the afternoon.
Wow.
So if you didn't look out of the window, you missed it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nighttime. Right.
That would take a little bit of change, but I think I'd have a harder time adjusting to more daylight hours because I like
Well,
the dark and cold.
yes, but if you want the opposite, in towards the end of June, the sun comes out and sets 2 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing to get used to. Try to
Yeah,
sleep.
that would be weird.
Yeah, but it's nice. I really like it.
Yeah.
You
Have
get
you lived
used
there
to it.
have you lived there your whole life?
No, I came to live here in 1997. I was born in South America.
That's a big move.
Yeah,
Wow.
20 something hour flight.
Wow. Which do you ever go back there and visit?
I used to go often before. I haven't been there for like 6 or 7 years. Last time I was there when my eldest was 15, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Wow, that's a big which weather do you like the best?
Here,
Climate.
yes, because here it's never damp. It's
Mm-hmm.
never humid. There's no humidity here. And I remember in Uruguay, where I'm from, in summer, it can be a lot hotter than here, but it's extremely humid. And then,
Mm-hmm.
talk
It's
about having headphones around your neck. You live to,
oh,
you can't,
it's so
it is,
heavy.
yes. And here
Sometimes when
there's no humidity or extremely low. I'm sure there
Mhm.
is some humidity, otherwise we would be all dried up. But it's very low. Yeah, but it's really nice.
Yeah, I would like that a lot better too. The hot is just I mean you can sit with a blanket on your lap and crochet a lot more comfortably when it's cool outside than when
That's
it's
true. Yeah.
100% humidity and
Yeah.
yuck. Oh.
No. Yeah, that's true. But for some people, crochet is not the only thing in their lives, so they do other activities. I know
What?
there are a few of those. There are a few of those.
Oh wow, it's time to wake up into the real world.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Astrid, thank you so much for
This was fun.
yeah, for having
This
this
was fun.
interview
The
with
interview I never wanted to do, but you didn't understand my message. That was funny.
Oh, I apologize.
That's okay. We're done now. It didn't hurt.
Okay. I just want to thank everybody who watched the interview. Thank you so much for watching. I know you guys are going to go check out all of Astrid's patterns over on Ravelry, and I'm sure that you will want to make every single one of them, just like I do.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun. A lot less painful than I thought it would be.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. We try to be a pain-free zone here.
You do it quite fine.